Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter for WLBT and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk update for this Wednesday, October 8th. Already halfway through the week. Happy hump day to you. Hope that your week is going well thus far. My apologies for being out a couple days this week. I've been under the weather, but I'm back and feeling a little bit better. Trying to get back into the swing of things. We've got several of you watching right now on our Facebook live stream and also too on YouTube. We also have a stream going through our OTT platform, our app. And of course, if you are watching us online, a lot of different ways that you can watch these updates throughout your day. And we want to make that as easy as it is for you to be able to access it and to be able to get in on the conversation with us. You certainly can do that on Facebook right now. Brenda McLaurin Hayes, not to be outdone, is saying good afternoon from Mendenhall. Brenda, hope you're doing well today. Hope that everything's going well for you out there in Mendenhall. You know, I've been through there when I'm going to McGee. I love when I go to McGee to stop by and get a Zips burger because those are so good. The coroner out there, Terry Tudor, got me hooked on those. And so, yeah, who knew that food was so good in central Mississippi, right? I mean, I'm from Mississippi originally, from the northern part of the state, and we have a lot of good food out there. Britt saying, hey, happy you're feeling better. Britt, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yeah, it's good to be back at work and just to be back in the swing of things and not have to, you know, medicine and just staring at the wall. And it's nice to be staring at a camera, being able to talk to you and say hi to everybody today. So hope that everybody's having a good Wednesday thus far. If you've been to the state fair, maybe you have. Hope that you've gotten something good. We had some of the food earlier, actually last week. Dave Roberts and I, it was very good. It's not healthy, but that's not why we go to the fair, is it? We definitely don't go for that. We want to let you know about some of the stories that we're following on this Wednesday. One of them, of course, is something that we have been talking about a little bit online and on air. In just 1 week, the state of Mississippi is scheduled to carry out the second execution thus far this year. Charles Crawford has spent more than 30 years on death row. He was convicted in 1993 for the rape and murder of a college student. Well, now Prison Reform Act advocates are urging Governor Tate Reeves to halt the execution. They actually think that Crawford should have to spend the rest of his life in prison rather than being killed. Now, court records
impulse is
actually show
him with my own hand.
Let's see. Hold on just a second.
We are taught.
I think that we had the wrong. There we go. I apologize for that. We had the wrong video there. I had just gone one ahead. Court records show that Crawford kidnapped 20-year-old Christy Ray from her parents' home back in Tippah County, North Mississippi. He took her to an abandoned barn, raped her, and then killed her. Now, this happened days before he was set to go to trial in another rape case. Advocates maintain the death penalty is not the answer, speaking out against the execution. They claim Crawford is a changed man, and he's paying for what he did by serving time behind bars.
Your first impulse is, I could kill him with my own hand.
Mm-hmm.
But we are taught to rise above that human impulse.
The question is, what are we called to do? We are called to higher levels of mercy than vengeance. We are called to higher levels of grace than vengeance. We are called to higher levels of compassion than vengeance.
And again, they're making a plea to Governor Reeves, hoping he'll issue a stay to put a stop to the execution and Crawford instead be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Last week, Crawford's attorneys filed an appeal asking the U.S. Supreme Court to block the execution. They're still waiting on a ruling. As of now, Crawford is still set to be executed 1 week from today, October 15th. A man has been arrested in a drug bust just outside Topgolf in Ridgeland. Police Chief Brian Myers says that John Renfro was taken into custody in the parking lot. 3 on Your Side got this exclusive video of investigators searching a car. Renfro is facing charges of trafficking a controlled substance and a felony count of conspiracy. We have a little bit of interaction with from Britt today, a message from Britt. I'll get it out eventually. I'm just really sluggish today. I apologize, folks. Talking about our story that we just talked about regarding the request for an appeal in the case of Charles Crawford, who's on death row and scheduled to be executed next week. Britt saying it's easy for someone to think that until you have a loved one murdered. And you know, Britt really hit the nail on the head. For so many people, death penalty is such a controversial subject because, again, sometimes your opinion on the subject, your stance on it will change based on what's happened in your life with so many things. And so that's certainly something to keep in mind. It's also something that we've not seen. You know, we've seen stays in the past. It doesn't happen often. There was a stay of execution. I remember when I was going to be covering the execution of Willie Jerome Manning more than 10 years ago. And I was on my way to Parchman and got the call that it was being stayed. And, you know, so we ended up just getting an interview with the commissioner at the time. But you know, the Supreme Court stepped in and decided to stay the execution of him. And Willie Jerome Manning has still not yet been executed. He is still behind bars. So, you know, those things do happen too. Sheikah Hampton saying, hey, everyone, with a flurry of hearts to match. Sheikah, hope you're doing well on this Wednesday. Another story that we want to tell you about is something that we have been following for some time. If you're familiar with politics in Madison County, you know this individual's name. A former Canton engineer who was convicted of bribery is now asking a judge to let him out of jail. This is Rudy Warnock. He was found guilty back in July of bribing city officials in exchange for lucrative contracts. He's now awaiting sentencing. Now, on the day of his conviction, Warnock allegedly tried to commit suicide as he drove on I-20 near Pelahatchie. District Judge Christy Johnson revoked his bond, saying he was a danger to himself and society. Warnock's attorneys have now filed a motion to have bond reinstated so he can be released until sentencing, which is set for next month, November 19th. The attorneys say his actions following his conviction were the result of an emotional breakdown and are inconsistent with his behavior. Well, the Jackson City Council voting yesterday to hire an outside search firm, to help find a new police chief. Now, Mayor John Horn proposed the contract with the nonprofit group Police Executive Research Forum to help in the process. The details of the contract were not made available initially, but we know that it's going to cost $65,000. And we've gotten an idea of the timeline for this as well. The measure was approved in a 6-1 vote. Ward 2 Councilwoman Tina Clay voted against it.
We should consider interviewing from within before we do a national search for the police chief. I think the police department has made a lot of progress over the years, and Chief Wade Love is in a good position. And there may be officers, and I know there are officers in the department that are qualified and interested, and I think it may be good for the morale of the department.
Mayor Horn says the city is also looking at internal candidates, saying at least 2 have expressed interest. And one thing about that, too, we want to point out that the contract itself actually has a timeline of sorts for when different things are supposed to be decided. They anticipate that they would not have an announcement for a police chief until January of next year, meaning that there may have to be something. Tyree Jones, currently the Hinds County Sheriff, is the interim police chief for the city of Jackson. But according to state law, he can only serve in that position for up to 90 days in an interim position unless approved by council. And he does not want to be confirmed or approved because, again, this search is continuing. So it likely means that the city is going to have somebody else appointed to this interim role unless they reappoint him at some point, just to be able to bridge that gap as the search process continues. Now, this means, too, that initially the city said it would take them 30 to 60 days to find a police chief. That's now looking like closer to 5 months. So that's a difference in that time frame as well. Britt, no shortage of the questions today, and I appreciate that. I'm glad you're chiming in, Britt. Hopefully other people will pitch in too. She says, isn't the guy from Canton the man that tried to kill himself after he was found guilty? That's right. Again, according to police reports and according to what we understand from first responders there, after Warnock was found guilty, this happened shortly afterwards. I won't go into detail on what happened, but he had pulled off. I think he had tried to wreck his vehicle and then had tried to harm himself in his vehicle when paramedics arrived and were able to get him to the hospital and stabilize him. In other news, another thing that came out of the council meeting yesterday was a resolution, a non-binding resolution the Jackson City Council actually voted on, encouraging the federal government to return control of Jackson's water system, full control, back to the city. Councilman Kenneth Stokes introduced the resolution. He says Jackson Water is no longer listening to resident concerns and that under Mayor John Horn, the city is better equipped to take it back and deal with issues that continue to plague the system.
Sometimes it's $17,000 that they can't owe, but they got to come up with half. Even when they go come up with half, borrow from Peter and pay Paul and everything else, they tell them it's going to take a week to 10 days to get the water on. Sometimes 2 weeks. It did not take you that long to cut it off.
Jackson Water released a statement saying the city must first develop and present a clear financial and operational plan that can be reviewed by state and federal partners. The city's chief administrative officer, Peter Tawison, says a transitional plan must be in place by next October. So a full year there. We appreciate you watching and joining us today. Everybody getting in on the conversation here, especially Britt. And again, we welcome these conversations. And anytime that you think that there might be something that we should be covering that we haven't, let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it and figure it out. If you've got questions about how we covered a story, if you've got questions about whether or not we should do something different, please let us know, and we'll keep that conversation going because we work for you and we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching us on this Wednesday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We're going to have more weather. Actually, we're going to have weather at 2:30 today. The First Alert Weather Team will be in here. And of course, we'll also have your early evening newscast starting at 4 o'clock that you can watch on air or on the app. And before we let you go, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, Jackson Water. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter for WLBT and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
From Jackson Water, is it okay to pour fats, oils, and greases down the drain if I run hot water?
No!
What if I run the garbage disposal?
No!
How about if I use dish soap at the same time?
No!
Instead, hang on to a few containers to store and toss old cooking fat and grease once you're done. Jackson Water. Water for all, all the time.